Hey guys, it's Hannah and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a full in-depth review of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. A few weeks ago, I did my first impressions video, and that was just me trying out the palette for the first time and giving you my initial thoughts on it. And this is me after having tried this palette for several weeks now. I've been using this palette like every single day for the past like 3 weeks. So I want to talk about what I think about this palette, and then I want to go in and compare some of the colors to these other 3 Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes as well. So if you'd like to know my final thoughts on this palette, see some swatches and comparisons, then go ahead and keep on watching this video. Okay, so for the first part of this video, I want to do the talking about the palette and my thoughts on shades, and I'll go through them individually as well. So I wanted to start with this color right here, Tempera. I've talked about this in my last video about this palette, but on the website it says that this is a matte shade, and I personally think that it is more of a satin shade. I don't really have a problem with it looking a little bit more satin than matte, but because I do use this shade every single time I start out an eye look and I'm using this palette, that's the shade that I lay down first because it's about the same color as my skin, so it's a good base for me, so that doesn't really bother me. Now for glistening right here, it's this golden shade. It's like a bit of a darker gold than Fairy, which is beneath it. Fairy's a bit more yellow gold, but glistening, I really like this color, especially mixing it with Fairy on the inner corner. That's what I have on my inner corner today, is a mixture of those 2 colors. On the lid, I like this like more on the inner portion of the lid. I don't like to put this all over the lid just because I'm not the biggest fan of that particular formula, but I do like it on the inner corner and on the inner portion of the lid. Now for Orange Soda right here, this is probably my favorite color in the palette. I have it in my crease today as a transition color, and it is super pretty. You can lightly wash this over your crease, or you can pack it in and build it up to a really pretty orangey base, and that's what I did today. I packed it in my crease really heavily, and there's no fallout. This color does not have any kickback, so like when you dip your brush in, you're not getting a lot of like pigment flying everywhere. And then we have Rose Pink, which is this shade right here, and this shade was not my favorite in the palette. I personally think that this shade was my least favorite color in the palette. I just felt like it wasn't as it was like a little bit too soft for me. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of that formula, like Glistening and Fairy. It's the same formula, and that's not my favorite ABH formula. But with Glistening and Fairy, I can put that on my inner corner, but with Rose Pink, I don't really see myself putting that on my inner corner. I have used this color on my lid a few times to try it out, and it's pretty, but like I said, it's just not my favorite color. It's a little bit too soft for me, so it doesn't give that metallic punch even with a wet brush. Then we have Sultry right here. When I first got this palette, I saw that color and I was immediately really intrigued with it because it looks so pretty in the pan. But using it, it is probably another one of my least favorite colors in the palette. I find that shade to be really chunky and glittery and just like crumbly, and I got it all over like my face when I was using it. There's a lot of fallout with this color, and I find that it just doesn't last that long on the eyes. But Bronze, on the other hand, is a similar formula, the same formula as, or like the same finish as Sultry, and Bronze is absolutely gorgeous. It is my favorite metallic in this palette. It looks so pretty on the lid. I used this in my first impressions, and I've used it a lot since then. It is definitely one of my favorite colors in the palette. Mulberry is this dark color right here. I find that that's a really good color to deepen up the crease. I like to take it on a pencil brush if I'm doing a like a halo eye or something, and I put it in the middle portion of my crease. You saw me do that in, I think, the last makeup video I did, my purple eye look, and I do it a lot in the outer corner as well. And then we have Dusty Rose. Again, I love to start out more purpley cool tone looks with that color because I find that it, like Orange Soda, it blends really well and you can build it up to whatever like opaqueness that you want. Then we have Fairy right here, which you can't, I don't know, you can't really see that color very well on the camera. But Fairy is the color that I talked about earlier when I was talking about glistening. It's that soft formula of rose pink. And like I said, it's not my favorite formula, but I can wear that on the inner corner and it looks really pretty. So I do like Fairy for that. Then we have Burnt Orange right here. Burnt Orange is also in the Modern Renaissance palette, and I find that it works really well with Orange Soda. It's deeper than Orange Soda, but they blend together really well. So I also have Burnt Orange in my crease, but I just have it a little bit lower than I have Orange Soda, and I've really been liking that color. Even though I already used it in Modern Renaissance, it was a really good color to put in this palette as well, in my opinion. And then we have Sienna right here by Burnt Orange. Sienna is a really good companion color for Orange Soda and Burnt Orange as well. In fact, that is another color that I have on my lid. I have Sienna all over my lid, and in fact the only 3 eyeshadows that I'm wearing are Orange Soda, Burnt Orange, and Sienna, and then I have the Stila Magnificent Metals glitter over top of it. But Sienna is a really good color. It blends really well, there's no kickback, and I overall really like that shade. Then we have Rustic right here. I really like the shade Rustic too. It blends super well. I've not had any problems using that shade. It's never been patchy or anything. And again, there's like no kick up with this palette at all. And I really like that because it's staying nice and clean. I've used this for 3 weeks and it's completely clean. There's not shadows everywhere. And then we have Cypress Umber right here. Cypress Umber was another shade in the Modern Renaissance palette, but again, I think that it was a good shade to put in this palette as well because it goes well with a lot of the looks that you do with this palette. I do not use Cypress Umber a lot just because I don't use a lot of dark browns, but I have used it before. I've used it in this palette and it does blend really well. I've never had a problem with it. If I did want to use a dark brown, I would definitely go for Cypress Umber. And then we have Noir, and I've only used this shade once just to try it out because I don't use black eyeshadows hardly ever, but this is a really, really good black. It is true black. It blends really well. There's no patchiness, and so I really do like the black that they included in this palette, and I do think it overall goes well with the other shades in the palette. So that's my opinion on the individual shades in the palette. Now I'm going to go ahead and swatch each shade individually for you, and I also want to do some comparisons of some colors in this palette and with the Modern Renaissance palette, the Subculture palette, and also the Prism palette. Okay, starting from the top, we have Tempera, Glistening, Orange Soda, Rose Pink, Sultry, Bronze, Mulberry, Dusty Rose, Fairy, Burnt Orange, Sienna, Rustic, Cypress Umber, and Noir. Okay, so now I want to do some swatch comparisons. I'm going to start with the 3 shades that are both in the Soft Glam palette and in the Modern Renaissance palette. So I'm going to start with Tempera. This is Tempera in the Soft Glam palette. And this is Tempera in the Modern Renaissance palette. If you can see it's a little bit satiny in the swatches. Alright, now I'm going to move on to Burnt Orange. This is Burnt Orange in the Soft Glam palette. And this is Burnt Orange in the Modern Renaissance palette. Again, you can see that they are completely identical. And then lastly, we have Cypress Umber, and this is Cypress Umber from the Soft Glam palette. And this is Cypress Umber from the Modern Renaissance palette. I don't know if this is just me, but personally, I feel like the Cypress Umber and the Soft Glam palette is a little bit lighter and more cool tones than the Cypress Umber and the Modern Renaissance palette. Alright, now I'm going to go through some colors that look to be similar in each palette, but they are named something else. So I'm going to start with Dusty Rose from Soft Glam. And then we have Bon Fresco from Modern Renaissance. And then we have Lure from the Prism palette. So the color on the far right is the one from the Soft Glam. The color in the middle is from Modern Renaissance, and the color on the far left is from the Prism palette. So now I'm going to do Bronze from the Soft Glam palette. And I want to compare it to Pyramid from the Prism palette. As you can see, they are slightly different. Alright, so the one from the Soft Glam palette is on the far right, and then over here is Pyramid on the left from the Prism palette. And if you can tell, they are pretty similar, but they are different. The one from the Prism palette, Pyramid, on the left is definitely more yellowy than Bronze on the right from the Soft Glam palette. Both are beautiful though. I love both of these colors so much. Okay, now just for fun, I'm going to compare Mulberry with All Star. All Star's in the Subculture palette. They do look a little bit different in the pan, but they are kind of similar, so I want to do some comparisons for you just to show you how different they are. So this is from Soft Glam, that's Mulberry, and this is All Star from the Subculture palette. Even though they do look a bit similar, as you can see, the one on the right, which is from Soft Glam, isn't as purpley as the one from Subculture, which is the one on the left. Okay, so now I'm going to compare Glistening from Soft Glam to Primavera from Modern Renaissance. As you can see, Glistening on the right from Soft Glam is more yellowy than Primavera from Modern Renaissance, which is on the left. And to end the swatches segment, I want to compare the blacks from the Soft Glam palette with the black in the Prism palette. Those are the only two palettes of these four that have blacks in them. So I'll start with Noir from the Soft Glam. And then this is Obsidian from the Prism palette. This is hard because to me they look exactly the same. If y'all see any difference, please comment down below and let me know. But to me they definitely look the same. Alright, and that is going to conclude this video, my final thoughts on the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. So do I recommend this palette to you? Alright, so if you look at these colors and you think, wow, those are definitely colors that I'm interested in, those are colors that I can see myself wearing, then yes, I would recommend this palette to you. I like all but two of the colors, and the two colors that I don't like, one of them I will still wear, the sultry color. I probably won't wear it just because it's super chunky, but rose pink, I do see myself wearing that even though it's not my favorite. But all of the other colors I definitely can see myself using. Glistening and Fairy in the inner corner, every single time that I've done a look with this palette, that is what I do. All of the matte shades blend super well. And yes, if these are colors that you wear, I definitely would recommend this to you. Especially if you have used Anastasia Beverly Hills and you know their formula and you like it, then I would say go for it. If you've been looking at this, go for it. Go ahead and pick it up. If you don't like it, you can always return it. Now, if you don't like colors like this, then no, I would not recommend this to you because you're not going to wear it if these aren't colors that you like, and then it's just going to be a waste of your money. But quality-wise, this is definitely good quality, and it may just be my new favorite Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, especially for everyday looks. If you enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up down below, and let me know if you'd like to see a follow-up video like this when I've done a first impressions. If you'd like to see a full review, I really enjoyed making this for you guys. I've definitely been working hard trying this palette out. I post new videos every single Monday, Thursday, and Sunday, so subscribe if you want to come back and watch more of my videos. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.